recorded on cell phone video. An employee called police to kick Jordan out and said this.
He's just being arrogant because he's black.
Oh, so I'm arrogant because I'm black? In that moment, only thing I felt at the small moment was rage.
He went to Allsup's around 8 last Friday night for candy. As he paid for some, then looked around for more, Jordan noticed something.
She had been in the corner the whole time watching. They said I was sketchy because I picked stuff up, put stuff back.
The employee called police.
Not wanting him out of the store right now. He's just being arrogant because he's black.
You know, we cover a lot of these stories of the white supremacists calling the police on us, but we need to also address other groups as well. We can't just focus on the white supremacists. We have to understand, as so-called black people, African Americans, or what the Bible describes us as the tribe of Judah, whatever one you want to accept today, many will hate us. And the thing that a lot of us have a hard time with is accepting that. But the hatred for black people is real. It's something that you have to deal with every day. I'm telling all people throughout the diaspora, expect the hatred. Expect it. Don't sit up here and be shocked. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. No matter if you live here, you're in the Caribbean, you're Afro-Latino, you're living on a continent, wherever you're living, expect that. Unfortunately, we even got self-hatred within our community. This young brother, he gonna be okay. It's just another day in America, but rest assured, brothers and sisters, the hatred definitely is real for the black man, black woman, black child in America and throughout the world. This is why we have to promote unification. We have to promote love within the diaspora, joining together, because we are all we have at the end of the day.
But as a group, Afro-Mexicans are largely invisible. A 2015 census is changing that. CCTV's Frank Contreras has insight from Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca.
We believe that the whole world should know that in the colonial era, Mexico was an entry point for African slaves. Our ancestors were forcibly brought here under slavery.
But images of African descendants in Mexico rarely appear in public. The exception is this famous comic book character, Memín Penguin, which was created in the 1940s. Nicomedes Ramirez and her cousin, Castula Silva, grew up in these impoverished coastal communities. Ramirez says over the years, politicians have come with their election year promises to end poverty.
They told us they would help, and they would bring us basic things we were lacking. All we had to do was ask, but so far, they have done nothing for us.
I never went to school because when I was a girl, there was no school here. We had to go to another community, and my parents, may they rest in peace, told me I could not go, so I never studied.
Afro-Mexican authorities say they're planning to take legal action and change the Constitution so that it includes them. Constitutional recognition would finally give them access to medical services, educational grants, and Social Security benefits. For now, Afro-Mexicans, whose descendants came from places like Kenya, the Congo, and later the Caribbean, still do not enjoy these basic rights.
Now, a UK watchdog says that British police need a cultural change in a bid to tackle ever-snowballing claims of racism. Figures show black people are 7 times more likely to be searched by police on the street than white people. And as Tessa Arcilia found out, most of the time it's without any evidence.
I'm looking to find out what's causing a rise in black activism in Britain.
They look at her and think she's a black little girl and she could be bad.
And what it feels like to grow up black and British in 2016. Black people are more likely to live in poverty. They're underrepresented in jobs like judges, police chiefs, or MPs. And a black graduate earns 23% less than a white classmate with the same degree.
The sound of racism. This political advert aired for 2 days on local radio stations. It's too racially offensive for us to broadcast it in full. But it describes members of this Ecuadorian black community as good-for-nothing people, cockroaches, and much more. An investigation is underway to determine who was behind the advert. It has since been taken off the air. Local candidates deny any responsibility. But the damage has been done. Since blacks arrived in Ecuador from West Africa in the 16th century, they have done the hardest jobs. A government study in 2003 said that over 92% of blacks do not have access to basic services. Ingrid Orejuela says racist slurs against Afro-Ecuadorians are common.
When you walk around, you hear, "There goes the thief, the drug addict." Not all blacks are bad. We are decent, working people.
Afro-Ecuadorians make up 1/10 of the population, and in this impoverished nation, they are among the poorest.
About 7% of Peruvians are of African descent, and their culture dates back 500 years to the African slave trade. Festivals like this religious procession still draw deeply on traditional beliefs, mixed with indigenous practices and Catholicism. But in the workplace, Afro-Peruvians are still marginalised. Only 2% graduate from university, and most can only find low-paid jobs like hotel porters, coffin bearers and domestic servants. The government is now promising to change that.
The Culture Ministry is working on a series of moves to help the Afro-Peruvian population. We'll soon create a ministry to focus on building a clearer public policy to tackle racial discrimination.
Many black Peruvians, though, aren't convinced their good intentions will lead to real change.
Lots has been done for other communities, but not for ours. I'm not sure about President Ollanta. He seems to have all the good intentions in the world. But what did his predecessors do? Nothing.
You got into metro and you're standing very close to the person. The next thing the person is going to do is, if you're standing together, he's just going to quietly move away from that spot and change the direction.
When they see you, they will cover hanky on their face, like as if we have disease or we are smelling or something.
It just changed the direction because you feel like, oh, a monster is around. A monster is around, so move away from a monster. Do you know what a monster is?
Indians will just gather everywhere like I'm an alien or something historic is happening, and they'll just be like looking and speaking language, calling names.
Sometimes they will just talk among themselves. They'll start laughing while staring at you, looking at you directly.
A lot of people just come and join the beating without even knowing what is actually happening. They don't even know what happened. They don't know.
Most cities are struggling at the margins of Indian society. The cities whose population stands at between 50,000 and 60,000 in a nation of over 1 billion people are the least visible part of a huge Africa diaspora.
When I'm in village, I feel always I'm Indian. But when I go, I cross 60 kilometers from my place, then people will make you think you are a foreigner.
The cities whose features are remarkably African live across India, where we came face to face with abject poverty. Impoverished and outcasted, they have remained racially intact. The cities have found their space in the complex India caste system.
Still today they use as like untouchable, it is there. And it is not, you cannot completely wash out from Indian culture, it is very tough. Among them, still today they use like untouchable among them. Then what?
Their women earn extremely low wages as housemaids in the towns surrounding the seedy neighborhoods. The men mostly work as farm helps for the Indians and ironically are regarded as encroachers. For centuries, they have lived in the forest unknown to many across the rest of the world, shunned and almost forgotten. The Sidi's arrival can be traced back to the 10th century when many came aboard the dhows of Arab merchants who traded with kingdoms along India's west coast. The Arabs are believed to have captured the Sidis after raids on coastal Bantu villages in East Africa. The Sidis were very successful as fighters, sometimes usurping power from the rulers. Between the 18th and 19th centuries, during the plagues, they escaped into the forest and settled near water catchment areas where they still live to date.
Part of the Olympic legacy was renovation of Rio's dock area, during which sites related to the city's slave trading past were discovered. This tour tells of the brutality of that period. 2 million slaves landed here. Many died shortly afterwards and were buried in mass graves. Many Brazilians say racism, rooted in slavery, has not gone away and is not being addressed.
If you're a black man living in a favela, you're shown no respect by the police. Being a young black man in the Alamao, it's a daily struggle to survive. Each day of life is a celebration.
We had to cut short filming in the poor neighborhood of Alamao when we heard gunfire. We later learned that a policeman was killed and another wounded. 2 people who live in the area were also wounded, an almost daily occurrence.
I
can only hope that my 17-year-old daughter has a future, that she survives, because people here are dying and are being killed. She will have to struggle to survive. I'm fighting so that she can have a future.
It's in places like this, the Alamao favela or shanty town, that many of the killings take place. Often unreported, the killers usually unpunished. The clashes continue outside the favelas. Police chase these young men from the beach because they say they were harassing tourists. The men insist it's because they're poor and black. Police say they're defending themselves in their war on drug gangs. Amnesty International presented this 200,000 name petition to the Rio State Security Ministry, complaining that since 2009, police have killed nearly 3,000 people, most of them young black men.
Watch the show. Saying, so why stay? Why stay when you are called nigger every day? Why stay when you are denied your rights?
On the contrary, the more they humiliate me, the more they oppress me, the more I stick to my land. Because this is my land. I'm so rooted. We are deeply rooted as Africans, as Palestinian Africans in this land. And we know pretty well that our ancestors, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of years, had been here in this country, but they were spread away, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States.